All right, so the big and the great Usher, thank you for having us. I had a very, very big question actually. How do you prepare for your European tour? Because you come here, yeah, there's time difference, there's jet lag, there's constant pressure, you're always working, show after show. How do you do it?
The preparation comes the night before, really. You know, the difference between this show and all of the other shows that I've done really in my career internationally, I really am focused on connecting with the audience and connecting with what I think people want to experience. You know, sometimes I'll go out and I just talk to people. You know, I try to take in as much of the culture of each place that I travel. Every time, like, I'll go to a museum, I'll go and find out what are the attractions or the things that people like in that specific country, town, or city. And I'll go and I'll have as much conversation as I can. Even sometimes I'll ask them, you know, how do I say certain things in your language? But I think that maybe that barrier between the artist and the fan, you know, making a greater connection is what this show is all about, and the preparation is just that connection to them. Sometimes talking on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram to kind of understand what they're thinking, what their expectations are, and go out there and I perform the songs that we've done all these years. You know, this tour doesn't represent one song. It's like all of the songs. Have you seen this show?
No.
So you haven't seen this show. No. Maybe you've seen some of the footage from it, or maybe there's been a conversation about it, but there's no way to explain it because night to night it changes, and the preparation is the connection before the show. You know, it could be some person that I'm meeting, you know, it could be, you know, someone who's in the front. I mean, it happens in the moment most of the time. Of course, you know, the songs are pretty much sketched out because I know what I'm gonna do before the show starts, but for the most part it just happens. Sometimes I might dance, sometimes I may sing, sometimes I may go down in the audience, sometimes I may sit on the front of the stage and just sing, talk, have a conversation with, you know, 20,000 people, you know, just talking about the inspiration behind some of the songs.
And do you ever still get nervous because we're talking about major venues, we're talking about 20,000 people. I mean, I'm already nervous and I'm just sitting next to you. Do you get nervous when you step into an arena like this?
I'm more relaxed in that arena than any place in the world. The only other place that I'm as relaxed is kind of with my kids. Because I mean, it's a place of passion, and that's a thing, a duty of passion, you know?
So how do you relax when you're on tour? Because you don't have, well, I guess, I don't know, most of the time you don't have your kids with you. So what is your own Zen moment where you can completely come to your senses and come to yourself?
To be perfectly honest, there isn't really a Zen to what we do as entertainers. It is the madness of what we have to offer and all of the things that are going on in our heads that kind of make the experience of the way we move, the way we articulate ourselves. But the one thing that I do before every show is I'll meditate, which is kind of like my own quiet moment. I'll meditate with my staff, my dancers, you know, even sometimes I was just talking to Nico and Vince last night and gave them an invitation, like, yo, you know, I don't know if you know anything about transcendental meditation, but it's really great for centering, and you kind of need those anchors, those things to kind of keep you in a positive, uplifted space, because you just exhausted, you know, from one country to the next. It's like, okay, you get a little bit of rest on the bus, but I mean, one, you're in like a small bed, you know, can't really stretch out, you know, I mean, as much as you can, or if you're on a plane, you're kind of cooped up. But you know, I meditate a little bit before my shows. Yeah.
So when you get off that stage, your show is finished, what's like the first thing you do? Is there something you do, or?
Yeah, I hit the shower, you know what I mean? I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but you'll see me do cold dips.
Yeah.
You see me dip in the ice. Yeah. Yes, it's a bit much, you know. But I mean, hey, listen, I worked that hard for my fans, and if I want to be able to, you know, continue to do it, if I like to continue to do it, then I gotta take care of myself, you know. When I'm, you know, 40 years old, I still want to be able to move around like Jagger. You know what I'm saying?
You don't look 40 years old.
I don't look 40 years now, and at 40, I don't want to look 40 years old either.
So talking about your fans and talking about Instagram and all the social media, how do you feel the impact of social media these days on your music career? Because obviously, you know, you dropped your first album in '94, and things were different. So how do you feel, how do you experience social media?
I mean, it's an instant connection to all of your fans. That's what it's supposed to be. It begins to tear down the barrier of expectation. I mean, it can be a little bit dangerous too, because you know, now all of a sudden the idea of the fantasy is now taken away, and there's this delicate balance between the idea of what fantasy is and the reality. And sometimes fans will go a little too far, you know, but for the most part, I do it because that's the only way I can really tell my story, the way I think people can really understand it and follow. You know, if they know what's going on in my life, then they know why I'm talking about certain things, or they understand where certain inspiration comes from. Because, yeah, I can remember that time when he was in Cologne and he was talking about love locked down or something like that, and it was the locks or something, you know what I mean? Or when he was in Belgium and he was talking about, you know, instead of Waffle House in Atlanta, I get real waffles from Belgium. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it could be anything like that. I don't know, but I'm still in a creative mode. The greatest thing is that we as artists are truly inspired by our environment. Okay, like any writer, any creative person, any artist, as a result, and I mean a visual artist, an artist who paints, sculpts, or either uses some sort of articulation by way of a stroke. We're a product of the things that we are exposed to. So a lot of the music that I began to make for my upcoming album was inspired because of where I was and the environment I was in. So I wanted to move around a little bit. I didn't put my album out this year, or last year. I'm gonna put it out this year. But part of it was the fact that I really just wanted to reconnect to my fans and reconnect to the world in a way that's significant, and it's not so specific that it could be put into a category. I don't ever think I'll ever fit in a category. I don't belong in a category. I'm everything that I want to be, as long as I can be it, and as long as I can study it and be passionate about it. So that means if I want to do country music, if I want to do pop music, if I want to do, you know, EDM, if I want to do R&B, if I want to do hip hop, I can do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm exposed to it. So part of my being here is just to reconnect to my fans and really give them what they've, you know, been supportive of for so many years, man. You know, I think that barrier, right, between the fantasy of the artist and the fan isn't what it used to be. And I think people really want to feel you, you know. I mean, you do a great job in these interviews by getting deeper, but it connects the dots when they're able to look on Instagram or they're able to look on Twitter and kind of follow you, you know.
Well, I think you're doing an amazing job on that part, because a couple of days ago in Copenhagen, you just went in the streets and you made a video on your Instagram and you handed out 2 tickets to fans, like you did it yourself. That's a dream come true to a lot of people. So when you talk about connecting, you really do it in an amazing way. How do you feel about it? Because most of these artists, they want to be surrounded by security. Don't look at me, don't touch at me. They're very scared. And you just do the opposite.
Well, I still have security around me. You know what I mean? I don't just walk out on the street by myself, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely do make the connection. And if I meet somebody along the way, I'll try to have a conversation. If it doesn't get too unruly, you know, of course, people start to gather, and then eventually you got to go into a store, either get into a car and get out of there. But, you know, I try that. It's like the normalcy of being able to just walk down the street isn't as easy as it used to be when I was young. So that ability to make that connection and hopefully make someone's day by giving them a ticket if the show was sold out, or if they wanted to go, or if they were a fan and they just, you know, they couldn't get access to the ticket, I'm giving it to them. You know, that right there is, again, what fuels my creativity and makes this a pleasure. I don't want this will never feel like a job. I don't want this to feel like a responsibility, a job, a task, a duty. I love doing this shit. I love every day going out there and staying connected with them, you know.
Talking about your creativity, we've seen you jumping on tracks produced by Diplo. Then you did a track with Swedish House Mafia, which is electronic music. And now I read that you're doing a track with Skrillex on your new album. How do you maintain to keep that Usher touch? Because I feel you can get on the most boring song, you're gonna make it so lively, and it still will be you. It will be Usher.
Just that. Me getting on it. You know, an executive and a good friend of mine, Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jim and Terry Lewis, if you are familiar with them, they're legendary producers. The one thing he used to always tell me is, you know, never worry about, you know, what the style is. An Usher record, because I used to always say, I want to make sure that it has, like, you know, it feels like there's a fusion between what I do and what's out there. He would say, don't worry about that. Just get on it and be your best, because an Usher record is the one that you're on. So it doesn't matter if it's EDM, if it's pop, if it's experimental, if it's this fusion that I'm talking about. When I put my soul into it, when I put, you know, the conviction and the passion into the song, then hopefully it'll not only connect, but you'll recognize it as an Usher record, you know.
That's amazing. If you could choose one song of your own that would be on repeat for the rest of your life, which one would it be? Is there a song that you connect to and that you say, this one is just my favorite forever, or over memories or feelings, or?
I haven't made it yet.
Well, I think you did, but that's nice and slow. Yeah, forever, ever, ever.
You want to go fast and hard, I'm pretty sure, right? This is nice and slow for life. Everything is just nice and slow. No fast and hard. No, but
That's just signature you. Well, I actually want to end. I want to congratulate you first on the BET honors. So I want to end by quoting yourself. You ended your speech by saying, "This honor is the beginning of my you ain't seen nothing yet." So what can we expect for the future?
Obviously something that you haven't seen. And maybe something you haven't heard, but most certainly something that'll be new to me and you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I have a kick-ass show and I'll be front row cheering.
You enjoy it. Everybody out there checking this out, thank you so much. I don't get a chance to come around these parts, but if you've been a fan or if you are a new fan, I appreciate you and love you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Music and more. MNM.